Welcome to the Space Dreamers podcast, a Su Madre production.
Chickadee check, check, check. Snickle Fritz. Give me a test. You hear me?
See.
That was a little weird.
Oh, wait, you're recording? Already?
Recording on that ass.
Right.
Alright. So, welcome to the Space Dreamers podcast. This is a very exciting episode. It is a completely different kind of episode than we have ever done here at the Space Dreamers. My lovely co-host and I just went to the movies for the first time since the pandemic started for me. Is this the first time? No, you saw Black Widow by yourself the other day, weirdo.
Yeah.
So I...
How was the experience going back after...
So you want to have this, you want to talk right into this thing.
Okay,
so
right
it should be
here.
lower. Put it down lower and maybe tilt it up to you.
Like this? Here?
See. Is my phone... Will you grab my phone for me, please? Okay. Where was I?
So, you were saying how you went back to the movies after the... Like, this is the first time.
First time going to the cinema after not having gone to the cinema since February of 2020, and I'm recording this right now in August of 2021, so that's over a year.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Right? And... So, what do you think? First of all, why did you choose this movie to be your first?
Because this is the first movie that has made me want to go to the movies. Like, legitimately, since the pandemic started. So the last time that I went to the movies was in Peru with my co-host, who is Cielo. Cielo, say hola.
Hola a todos.
And we saw The Invisible Man, which was dope, I thought.
Oh, yeah. That was the last one, right?
Yeah. I saw two movies when I was in Peru. Well, I saw three. One was 1917, which I'd already seen. Another one was Call of the Wild, which I liked a lot.
Oh, yeah. You were excited about that one.
And then we saw The Invisible Man. And then coronavirus happened, so we stopped going to the movies. But anyway, yeah, so I love The Invisible Man. That's sci-fi, but we're not here to talk about that. Did you like that movie?
Which one? The Invisible Man. I remember it was okay for me. I thought it was okay.
I loved that it was a suit and not like an invisible human.
Yeah, I guess, right?
Very cool.
Because it could be feasible somehow, maybe.
See, I agree. So, the movie we decided to see is The Green Knight. Say it in Spanish.
El Caballero Verde.
Say it a little, enunciate.
El Caballero Verde.
Muy bien. I like that. El Caballero Verde.
Sí.
El Caballero Verde. Okay. The Green Knight, which, you know, what I liked about this movie is that it mixed people and how they looked. And like, it didn't matter, you know, because, like, the main actor there, Dev Patel, I believe is from India.
Okay.
But then his king was like a white dude who I think is from like Scotland.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna explain the relationship because so before talking about the movie, we haven't talked anything about the movie, right?
Yeah. So I was gonna explain. Yeah, so we went to the movies and I intentionally told Cielo we're not going to talk about it at all on the way home. We have not said at all what our opinions are.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't talked about it. We got home. We made some nachos. We ate the nachos. I set up the recording equipment, and now we are here. And so I don't know what Cielo thought of the movie. She doesn't know what I thought.
Yeah.
I remember seeing trailers for this movie on Instagram, and it just looked so cool. It looked awesome. It's like it's aesthetically, it just looked like my kind of thing. It reminded me of like that movie Noah a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one. Oh, Valhalla Rising is an amazing movie that this movie kind of visually reminded me of. And back to like the whole actors being different races and heritages and all that stuff. I especially don't mind it because it's a fantasy movie. It doesn't take place on Earth, you know? There's like giants and talking foxes. Like,
dude,
that shit doesn't make sense.
I didn't expect any of that. So
explain your history with the movie before you saw it.
So yeah, let's watch The Green Knight. I wasn't excited about this movie, really, but he was so excited, and I'm leaving in a couple days, so I thought, okay, let's go. But I thought this movie was, I had no idea it was an A24 movie, and I thought it was like a Marvel like movie, really. I thought
The Green Knight does kind of sound like a superhero name,
right? And I had not seen the trailer, so I didn't know anything about it coming into the movie. So I was discovering everything while I watched it, but so in my mind it was a Marvel movie or like made by Marvel. So when we were watching in the beginning and the first few scenes, it was clear to me this is not like a superhero. It's a fantasy movie, but it's not like that at all. It's like different, you know. And as soon as I saw A24, I was excited to watch it because I love A24 movies, and then I loved it. I loved it in general. My general thoughts.
How did you feel watching a movie as wacky and weird as that, having known nothing about it at all?
So
hold on, real quick. Not once while watching that movie did any image or anything recollect like an advertisement for you at all. It was completely. You knew nothing.
Yeah, I knew nothing. I just heard the name, and I remember you talking about it. How it was based on a story by an anonymous author, but that was it. I didn't know, and I hadn't seen the trailers or any publicity online either. So while we were watching it, I just I love the cinematography of it, the takes, the color palette, the ability of creating tension and intrigue in the moments that they require it, and just how the visuals tell the story more than the script itself, you know. And they left space to
for interpretation.
Yeah, for interpretation.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those movies I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you would have to have read the source material and fully understand it and then watch the movie several times to understand what was going on, because I certainly don't understand the majority of what was going on. Although what little parts I did understand, I loved. So overall, it was exactly what I expected. Although there's a little, and this is not a knock on the movie, but there's a little bit of me that kind of wanted it to be a little more engaging. Like, there were definitely times, there were times where I perked up and I was like, oh yes, I'm so into this. But then the only reason I noticed that is because then there were times where I wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I found some moments where I also thought, when the movie is engaging, you don't look at the time, you don't look, you don't realize time is passing. But there were definitely some moments where I thought, wow, this part of his journey is being a little long, and I'm looking at the time, it wasn't as engaging as I would have wanted to be, definitely. But the majority of the movie was really good, I think. Yara's being distracted by her cat. His cat. Her cat. So I guess we should talk about the plot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I read this book in college.
oh right.
I was an English major, so I think I'm pretty sure it's like essential reading. If you're an English major, I think every college, not every obviously, but like the majority of English courses, they're going to make you read this book. I remember I read it like when I was a freshman, like right when I entered the English program. And I remember throughout my entire life, I'm an avid reader, but I have found that I don't love 99% of the things that I'm told to read that have been assigned to me. But I remember this one, and that includes college. Very little of what I was what I was told to read in college did I enjoy. But this, I remember liking. I remember also, though, like similar to the film, I remember not fully understanding it.
Yeah.
But I do remember like the basic premise. And so, but at the same time, going into it, like watching the movie, I didn't know anything that was going to happen because I'd read the book. But I read the book like 12 years ago, so I mean, I don't know what that really means. But why don't you tell us what it's about, I guess?
So I think basically is the journey, but it also can be interpreted different ways, right? So in the movie we follow along this young man in his journey, in a very important journey for him. So he's part of a royalty family. This all takes place in medieval times, right? And this guy is part of a royal family. He's the he's the nephew of a king.
Yep.
Of the town, or like, I don't know how you call this.
I don't either.
A reign. So he's part of royalty, but he also doesn't really live a life of like responsibilities. He drinks all the time. I guess he spends a lot of time with the peasants, you could say.
Peasants.
And
when you say that, it sounds like pissants.
Peasants. And he is one day called by his uncle, who is a king. And I didn't understand that part much. Like
the king was basically like, tell me a story. I don't know you very well. Tell me a story about your life. And the kid was basically said, I haven't done anything worth telling a story about in my life. Mm-hmm. And dude, that's like the spark that lights the fire of his whole character.
Yeah.
Which is that he's this adult, basically young adult. I don't know. He's probably in his like early 20s or something. Maybe he's a teenager. I don't know. But he hasn't lived much of a life. All he does is have sex with that girl and drink. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he can do whatever he wants. And he's aimless in his life.
Yeah.
So the king says, tell me a story about your life. I don't know you very well. Tell me a story about your life. And the kid's like, I don't have a story. So I can't really tell you anything. And then in comes, well, bam, the Green Knight riding a horse looking all kinds of badass.
Yeah.
So he busts in there and he's like, let's play a game. Well, he has a way cooler voice than that, but
yeah.
So,
but this character is like, this character is not a human, right? It's like half tree, half human.
Yeah, he's like a giant tree. He's like a giant knight made out of a tree.
Yeah.
Made out of like greenish wood.
Yeah, so everyone is like shocked at his presence, and he basically like confronts the king with a like
I think if I had to guess, he was holding an olive branch. I think that means peace.
When he entered the room.
Yeah, when he rolls up, he's holding a thing over his head, which clearly I think is supposed to signal that like I'm not a threat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he
We don't have to get really nitty gritty with the plot. Like we can just
so he presents him or the town with a challenge that someone has to confront him or face him, challenge him. And the king asks for someone for a volunteer, and this guy that has no purpose in life just volunteers, right?
Yeah, he's like, I have no story to tell. I'm not a hero. I've basically been given all the things, all the fruits of life that I enjoy were given to me. So it's time that I earn something. And so he steps up and he's like, I'll try.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you got a sword? He doesn't even have a sword. He has to borrow his uncle's sword. And he jumps into the ring with the guy, with the Green Knight. And the Green Knight just bows his head.
Yeah.
And Gawain is like, what the hell is this? Like, I think he says something like, if you don't strike at me, I will strike at you. And he cuts the dude's head off.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, spoiler alert for this entire movie.
Yeah.
But also, it's like the oldest story ever written. So
yeah. So do you want to tell? Because at that moment, I didn't understand what the challenge was, because he beheads the Green Knight. But then he says, in a year, we shall encounter.
Yeah, so he basically says, however you cut me, however you strike me, 1 year from now, you must come to my domain, which is a green chapel, and I will cut you in the same way. Which is weird. I mean, it's a weird challenge.
And there I asked you, why is he challenging these people out of nowhere, and why are they agreeing to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a game, and they're knights. They have swords, and there's no war to fight, so what else are they doing?
Okay, I guess.
And I'm kind of just poking fun at that way of life. It's like, I mean, there's no TV, you know what I mean? They're sitting pretty.
And I think that back then, all men...
Back when? This is a fantasy movie.
Medieval times, young men had to prove their manhood, their courage at one point in their lives, and this was presented to this guy.
So basically, to fast forward, he cuts the knight's head off, and the Green Knight picks up his own head, and he's like, basically just like, all right, I'll see you in a year.
Yeah,
like you agreed to this. So then he rides off, and then a year goes by. And one thing I will say, and then the whole rest of the movie is his journey. He says it would take 6 nights, so 6 days to meet again on Christmas Day, 6-day journey, and
in a place called the Green Chapel.
Yeah, the Green Chapel. It's north. That's all he knows. So one thing I will say is that what I noticed and what kind of bothered me about his character, and just about I guess the movie in general, but I guess it's the point, is how passive his character is.
The Green Knight?
No. Gawain.
Ah.
He's just like, whatever comes at him, he kind of rolls over and lets it happen. He's not a determined individual at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything. He's not a strong character until the very, very, very end of the movie, which, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. It's kind of the point of the movie, but while you're watching, you're kind of just like, this dude is just doing whatever comes at him.
There's no character development.
I mean, he meets challenges and he overcomes them, but I don't.
He's never out of his own will.
Yeah, he never does anything like. Yeah, I guess he never does anything that is motivated by any characteristic that we've seen previously in him in the movie. Like everything he does, he just does because someone tells him to do it.
Do you think?
Remember, probably my favorite, like when I really perked up watching that movie, being like, all right, here we go. It's going to start getting good, is when he met the kid in the field. Remember? Mm-hmm. And they have that really long conversation. It's a really good conversation, well written, good acting, really good acting from that kid.
Oof, yes.
But I mean, really that scene was amazing and I loved it. But then the kid goes, yeah, you're going that direction, but you should go this direction because there's a stream over there and you can blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, okay. And he just does it. And in my mind, I'm like, what? Why would you just do that? Mm-hmm. Like, you don't know. And not even the fact that kid ends up fucking him over. just in general. Like, that kid doesn't know where you're going. Why would you just go where he tells you to go? So that was extremely passive. And then he's like, I give you my thanks. And the kid goes, you don't want to give me anything for the advice I gave you? And again, like, he only gives him a coin because the kid told him to give him a coin. He doesn't do anything out of his own volition, in my opinion.
I guess, but also I think this, as you said, this guy has lived all his life like a comfortable life. He hasn't had to fight for anything, so he doesn't know struggle. He doesn't know how to fight for what you want,
Yeah.
So I guess I would understand why he's like that, but throughout this journey also, another thing important to mention is that there are some like magical things happening, right?
Yep.
With every encounter that he has with either people or like even like a ghost, a spirit, like animals in the way, everything. It was like a new challenge, but also it left him with some kind of advantage in his journey. Like the first encounter is with this kid that fucks him over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, like, he gets robbed and everything, but he in the way finds his things back, like things that will help him in his journey. And then you wanna like fast forward to
Let's talk about the girl.
the guy.
So then he finds a house, and so that's that. At that moment, I thought that, so this movie, because the girl says the Green Knight is someone you know. And that's when I even turned to you and said this, and I figured out in my head that in my opinion, the whole point of this movie is what you do, every choice you make in life, basically you will meet the consequences of that choice. Eventually, you can't run from the consequences of your choices. So to say that the Green Knight is someone you know means that the Green Knight is him. Basically, Basically, the Green Knight is Gawain 1 year in the future coming back from the future to say, I'm your future and I'm going to cut your fucking head off for the choices that you make right now. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, the choices you make right now are going to lead to consequences, whether those are good or bad. I think that's the point of the movie, is to say that he's cutting his own head off at the end by making poor choices in the present.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a cautionary tale of, like, just because you don't have any stories to tell doesn't mean that you should try to be someone that you're not, which is some knight or some hero.
Yeah, I think what I got from the movie overall was like this guy was living his life. He's presented with this challenge that he doesn't want in the first place, but still he wants to prove a point. I guess because in his family he's apparently the only one that will succeed the king.
I will say that I don't think it matters, in my opinion, what point he's trying to prove. It's just about people in general. And you could even say manhood, like manly, even in our culture today, men feel like they have something, like you need to prove yourself in some way. It's like about status, you know what I mean? Yeah,
so I think what I was getting to is that he was trying to make a point with these people that expected other things for him than just to be a drunk. And I think it's like a paradox of how he's expected to achieve greatness, but at the same time, throughout this journey and with that end, he's condemned by greatness, because it gets to, like, throughout his journey, finally he gets to meet this Green Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, we can talk about this maybe after this, but should I say?
I want to reiterate. I want to reiterate my point. My point, because I don't think I said it very well. My point is that in his situation, like in his mind, he thinks I have to go on this journey because of the Green Knight. I have to go face whatever this challenge is, where I could get my head cut off because of the Green Knight. But I guess what I'm saying is that the Green Knight is him. So, meaning he's like blaming the Green Knight for potentially being beheaded, but it's his own choices that are going to lead to his beheading. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I took away from the movie.
Okay. So you want to say how, like, to summarize, how he gets to meet the Green Knight again, and then the Green Knight is about to behead him, but he says, "No, wait, I can do this," and he runs away. And then he runs away. He comes back home. Fast forward, he becomes the king, and he
basically just lives in shame.
You think?
Of course, dude. The whole point of the movie is that you make choices and you have to face up to the consequences. But in the end, he doesn't face up to the consequences. He says, I am not going to take responsibility for the choices that I made in the past. I'm going to run away from my responsibilities. And he returns in shame, dude. Because he knows in his mind...
I didn't.
Dude, he knows in his mind that he could not face up to the consequences of his own actions, which are, I decided to behead you. You told me if I beheaded you, you were going to behead me.
But then why would people say, when you come back, like, when you come back, remember? His mom tells him, the king tells him, when you come back, if he had to face the consequences, then he wouldn't come back. Then why are these people expecting him to come back?
Because they weren't there, and they don't know that he ran away from his responsibilities. Because that's something that all people can do.
Only one that...
You can do shitty things in life and lie to the people around you and make it seem like you aren't a coward. He's a coward.
No. But if the destiny was for him to go there to be beheaded, and everyone knows that,
I don't think it's quite that clear.
It wasn't clear to me either when the Green Knight challenged him.
Because I feel like everyone treats it like it's going to be some kind of like duel.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought that too.
Exactly. So that's the impression that everyone is under, that he basically struck a blow to the knight, and then 1 year later he has to go and the knight is going to try to strike a blow to him. And if he succeeds, then he kills the knight and he comes back a hero. But I don't think they realize that really that's not, it's like a blow for a blow. It's not, It was never a battle.
I didn't take that away from the movie. Like, that he was the only one that knew that he was a coward and ran away. But everyone else thought
he was alone.
That he had defeated the...
I just think that the whole point of when he initially runs away from the Green Knight, it's very clear that he is a coward when he does that. But when he gets back, no one knows that he basically cowered in fear from his own responsibilities, which is to get beheaded, you know? Mm-hmm. And so that's like the whole point. And then he has a child with that woman who isn't supposed to be his queen. And the child dies in war.
Did you understand that? Because I didn't.
It almost made me think that it's a cycle, man. Like, it makes me think that he is the king's illegitimate son. And it's a cycle. And the king did the same thing to the Green Knight. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if this is true. Everything I said about the whole responsibility and like him being the Green Knight, I believe that is true. This is kind of, I'm guessing, because I think that the king is his dad, and that the king is a shameful person just like he was before he gets it right and decides to be beheaded. But another reason maybe I think this is because, okay, the whole time I'm watching that movie, I couldn't help thinking that this movie is a poor man's Beowulf. Okay, so there's this movie called Beowulf. It came out in 2007. I tried to get us to watch it, but we didn't watch it. It's on Netflix right now. Neil Gaiman wrote the screenplay based on the classic tale of Beowulf. It's the same fucking thing, dude. Beowulf goes to kill like a monster, and instead of killing the monster, he has sex with the monster. Okay, he fucks the monster, and then goes home. Everyone thinks he killed the monster, so that he becomes the king. But then because he didn't kill the monster and he actually had sex with the monster gives birth to a horrifying dragon. And the dragon comes to his kingdom to basically, kind of like the Green Knight, to basically be like, this is the consequences of your actions coming back to bite you in the ass. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I think that there are so many ways that you can interpret this movie. I haven't even thought
the
about
whole
that.
time when he came back after cowering away from the Green Knight, I was 100% certain that the Green Knight was going to bust through those doors and do the same thing to his illegitimate son.
I thought that it was going to come back to.
I really thought that. But then when that didn't happen, it just made me think. I think the whole point of the ending is that he realizes that if I go back, it's going to be in utter shame. Because I made choices. I made the choice to challenge the Green Knight and to behead him. But the Green Knight told me what the consequences would be, and I did it anyway. Like, I knew better, but I did it anyway. So then it's just one of those things where it's like, I feel like when you get to be an adult, you think this more, and that doing shitty things makes you feel bad inside. Like, in order to reap the benefits of being an asshole, you have to be a sociopath. So if you're not a sociopath, then it eats away at you on the inside. Dude, remember remember the girl? And again, I do not understand why the girl is played by the same actress. No idea why that was.
Yeah, I think we're skipping the.
But wait. So remember, she said this connects to what I just said. Remember, she said, like, why is he green? Why is the knight green? Why is he not red, like blood? And she says, dude, and then she says, red is the color of lust, and green is what happens after lust. Bro, I'm unraveling this shit right now. Green is the color that happens after lust. So I don't think it's sexual lust for him. I think it's lust for, like, power. Or not even just power, but, like, lust for lust to be a man, like manhood, to have stories to tell of, like, being a knight, being an adventurer. So green, and because she said green is like rot, like gangrene. You know, like if you get cut and you leave the wound open, it gets gangrenous. You know what I'm saying? It's like green is like rot. Green is the color of when you make decisions, when you make decisions and you don't face the consequences of what those decisions are. I think I'm piecing it together.
Yeah, I feel like I will have like to really think about all the implications of those different parts, because for me, if there's a message that I can take away, I think it was that this guy, as you said, he was passive in this journey. Like he wanted to prove a point, but he didn't even really want to. He was just like pressured by the expectations of people. But then when he runs away and he like becomes the king and goes through all of this like period of his life where he's the leader, but throughout all this period he looks miserable.
Yeah, because
he doesn't look like he's enjoying, or like he has like, or like
because he's living a lie.
Yeah, or that he has or that he's powerful in enjoying the power. No, he looks miserable, right? But then it gets to a point where like almost the end scene, you know, when they are at war and then they are trying to break into the castle, and then they open the door and he's the only one there sitting down, and then he gets beheaded.
Yeah, because he realizes that. I think the point of the movie is that even though the movie shows you what you what you shouldn't do, in the end, that didn't happen, and he made the right choice to face the consequences of his decision to challenge the Green Knight.
I think.
So I have another thing here. Throughout the journey, it's so obvious that like he is so unsure, and that he does like.
He's not even sure about his love for this girl.
He doesn't even plan ahead, dude. Like, remember the scene where the guy gives him the giant dead animal, and he goes, "For your journey." Gawain just says, "You said it's only a day away." And he goes, "For your journey home." Like, he knows. He's not even thinking about the journey home, dude, because he's a fucking wuss, dude. He's not the man that he thinks he is. He's not the man that this challenge requires. But then he becomes the man. I'm saying at the end, he makes that decision to then be the person who takes responsibility for his actions. So it's also, remember, he wants to get on the shoulders of the giants, and the giant kind of reaches out. Dude, it's all coming to me now, dude. He cowers away from the giant's hand after he asked for its help. He's so unsure, dude. He's just not equipped for this journey at all. He's not equipped for the very first thing that he does, which is accept the challenge of the Green Knight.
Yeah.
And not only that, then the fox tries to give him advice, and what does he say? "I didn't want you as a companion anyway." It's like he can't face up to reality. He can't face up to what is actually in front of him. He's like a baby in the dark.
You know, I think that something that summarizes, like, I think I haven't finished up my idea of what the message I took away from the movie. But remember when he gets to the castle where he's received by this guy and his wife, I think that is the same character, the same girl,
same actress
that he's like having
sleeping with at home.
When he gets there and he talks to this guy that wants to help him in this journey, this guy says, "Okay, and you are doing this, why?" And he says, "To achieve greatness. So you're going to go to this journey, you're going to face the Green Knight, and after that you achieve greatness? Is that how it works?"
Yeah.
"What comes after that?" And he says, "Yeah, just like that." So I think that's so important, because I think this guy, like, he's being passive. He's doing what other people expect him to do. But he just wants to get this over with. He just wants to get to the final destination. Doesn't care how, is not strategic about this. He just wants to get there and get this over with.
It's almost like he wants the result, but he doesn't want to do the work.
Exactly. That's why he fails a lot of times. So this guy, as you say, is not equipped, but he just wants to get there and get this over with. And I think he doesn't even think how he could die. He just has no purpose, and this is the first thing that comes at him, and he acts on impulse, really, because he makes the decision right there and then. He acts on impulse. So he just wants to get to the destination, and he thinks maybe after this he will achieve greatness, and then no one can tell him anything. Like, okay, he did what he was expected to do, but that was it. So I think that after they get to this point in the castle where he's beheaded, but by no one, he just gets beheaded, like, automatically sitting down. It's not like someone comes with an axe. He just gets beheaded, right? And then the immediate, like, the scene after this is him again with the Green Knight about to behead him. So then we realized this was all this like all this story.
His escape from the Green Knight until being an old king.
Yeah, was
all in his head.
Was all in his head. Like he was just picturing how his life would be after this, if he survives, or if he runs away, right? So I think what this means is that he is expected to achieve greatness, but he doesn't want greatness.
I think he wants greatness, but he doesn't want to do what you actually have to do to achieve greatness the respectable way.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do the work.
So
I think he's condemned by greatness because of how he's part of this royal family, but he doesn't have it in him to do the work, right? So he sees all this life of achieving power, and he doesn't like that. Like he's not already he's given this power, but he doesn't want that for him. But it's like that's the only destiny for him. So
what, becoming king?
Yeah.
I think he wants it. You're saying
it's like
that
he's condemned. Like it's like he wants greatness, but he wants it. He doesn't want to do the work.
Yeah.
But in the end, when he comes back, is given to him. Like is power is still handed to him.
True. Okay.
And even when he wants greatness but doesn't want to do the work, he's condemned by greatness because he doesn't want that life for him. In the end, he realizes.
I think he wants it, but he doesn't know how to get it the correct way. He only knows how to cower away from the Green Knight, go back to his village or kingdom and lie and pretend like he's some tough guy when really he ran away and he couldn't face up to a simple thing that he said he was going to do. Maybe this is two different things. I'm not really sure. But wait, I want to bring.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how passive he is when the girl, dude. Remember when the girl
also
is like, "I want you to say," she's like, "I want you to say that you will have my that I want you to have my heart." What does she say? Take my hand, take my heart.
Yeah,
listen to me,
she says,
blah, blah, blah. And then she takes his mouth and she moves his mouth and says what she wants him to say. And he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, that's
connecting to us saying that he's passive. But then the other girl, who is this beautiful girl who clearly has money, and she's wearing these like really expensive clothes, like really nice regal clothing, and she's a book reader, and she's this like amazing thing. She's not a peasant like the other girl that he was having sex with. That woman makes him come. That woman has power over him. I think that leads into it as well, and that he's just. Dude, I guess maybe that's why it's the same actress, dude. It's like it's the exact same thing, just dressed up differently. So he just goes after these things that are dressed up as what you want. When what he wanted is the same girl, but he couldn't even go after her because she's not this image of beauty and this image of power that all men want, I would say, in all cultures, most cultures.
You think? Because he doesn't go after her.
Who?
Who what?
The girl? The pretty girl? The one in the castle?
Yeah, the one in the castle.
Yeah, but she has
power. He doesn't go after him. She doesn't go after him.
But he doesn't give in.
No.
Listen, the girl with the short hair is asking for him to be in her life.
Yeah.
She wants it, and he won't even respond yes or no. That's how passive he is. But when the same exact woman, only dressed up in power and regality, he gives in to her. Like he succumbs to that power, whereas it's the same exact girl, but she's not a peasant this time, so he's all about it.
That is not clear to me because
it literally shows his semen. He came for her.
Yeah, I know. But it's not clear to me because before that scene, she kind of comes on to him and tells him, "Do you believe in love?" or something like that. And he says, "No." Like, is this... yeah, because she grabs this pendant that he has. That is this jingle thing.
Yeah, because that's peasant shit.
Okay, but then...
But it's a pure symbol of love.
Yeah, but she says, did this... like, have to... like, is this a symbol of love or something like that? And he says, no.
Yeah, because he's a pussy.
So you don't live in love or something like that? And he says, no. And then you can see her face that she doesn't like his answer, and she grabs him. She grabs it, like takes it away from him. And I thought that that is not clear to me because she says, then she goes to his room, and she practically has to be in his bed, like has to be super, super, like, direct and you know, like...
Because he's passive.
About it, for him to do something.
But the peasant girl was direct too. And he couldn't even say anything. He couldn't say anything. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the girl, all dressed up, all regal, he does more than say things. He gives her his bodily fluids. That's the way I interpret it. I feel like this movie has room for interpretation. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, just even talking about it makes me connect in my brain my own thesis. But obviously, I don't know if it's true.
Maybe.
I also think that I'm being influenced by the movie Beowulf because it really reminded me of Beowulf, like, a lot. And I love that movie Beowulf. I know it didn't get super good reviews. It got pretty good reviews. But, like, people didn't love it. I get it. But it's daring, man. It's a Hollywood movie where the hero is not a fucking hero.
Yeah.
At all, dude. He does what he does the cowardly thing.
Yeah.
He's not a hero. And in the end, he dies. Like, the dragon kills him. His own son, the Green Knight, comes back and kills him for his cowardly actions and decisions in his past. I think that's how I connect it. But yeah, I'm not definitely not trying to say that, like, you're wrong. Because I just saw the movie same as you, so who really knows? And it's a weird cryptic film.
Yeah, I think this is one of those movies you have to watch definitely twice at least. Like, I feel like if I watch it again, maybe I can take.
And then, like, but there's so many things too that are just weird. Like, why does that guy kiss him at the end? Like, what does that mean? Remember, he gets on the horse and he leans over and kisses him. Like, what is that?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that I didn't understand. Like, for example, why? Like, what happens when the peasant girl gives labor? How you go?
They take the baby away.
But why? I thought
because it's the king's baby.
You think?
Yes.
Is the king's baby?
Dude, the scene before that was them having sex after he came back. But then because he's the king, he can't marry a peasant. He has to marry that red-haired girl who's from some other kingdom. So that's why they take his baby away.
I thought it was because...
Or her baby away, rather.
Really? I thought
Definitely.
I thought maybe the kid wasn't his own? Like, it was from somebody else's? I thought that.
If a king has sex with not the queen, and especially a peasant, then those in power around the king are not going to let the king raise the peasant's baby. You can't have a peasant baby. It's not what I think. This is how power works. You can't have a peasant baby in the kingdom. You know what I mean? Because you're not supposed to do that. That's definitely what that represents. That they take that baby away because, I mean, it's age old, man. It's like, it's the same way, like Zeus was married to Hera, who's another god, but he loved to go down to earth and have sex with earth women. Those babies didn't live on Mount Olympus. They lived down on earth in the dirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, and yeah, the whole race thing is weird that like it strikes me as weird to suggest that maybe he is that king's illegitimate son. Dude, you know what? Wait a minute.
What?
Wait. Okay, I could be crazy, but I bet that's not his sister. Okay, the king is a white dude, right?
Yeah.
His mother is the same color as him.
Yeah.
So I think that that's not his sister. That's not his king. That's not the king's sister. That's the king's mistress. Because they never
Maybe.
talk about his dad.
No, never.
Dude, I think I'm onto something here. I really do. Because it's a circle, man.
Maybe, yeah.
I really think that. Now that I'm thinking about it. Because I'm like, again, I said that I like that the race thing doesn't matter. But why would he be? That guy is as white as can be. That guy is pale as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, my sister. And she's a very dark-skinned woman.
Mm-hmm.
It would make so much more sense if he was the illegitimate child of that woman and the king.
What if, yeah, and the like the king and the queen don't have children? What if the woman couldn't have and he had to?
But then again, I did read. Maybe this is all explained in the book. If you look up the story without this movie involved,
Okay.
Gawain is King Arthur's nephew. So is that dude supposed to be King Arthur? I don't know. But now that I'm thinking about it, since they don't mention his dad, and it would make no sense that those two would be brother and sister because of the color of their skin, I legitimately think that Gawain is the king's son.
Maybe.
And that woman is who he had sex with before he ended up having to marry the woman that is eventually his queen. That is his queen in the movie. Because that would just make sense, because that's what Gawain does. It's all about shame. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, definitely maybe, but definitely not definitely.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I feel like there's so much that I'm not seeing, maybe.
But at the same time, I will say, as much as I do think it's a gorgeous film, I am not compelled to watch that movie again. Maybe once. Not anytime soon.
I could watch it one.
The moment,
more.
for instance, the moment Ad Astra ended, I wanted to watch it again. Both visually gorgeous films, very modern in the way that they're made. But Gawain, it's a little too slow for me to want to jump right back in.
There were moments in the journey that were too long, I think. Throughout the journey only. Because after he gets to the Green Knight, I think it gets more interesting.
It had
if there was a moment in that movie to make it like to be long, girl, like they could have shortened the journey part a little bit more and put it in the end, because in the end, like the last 10 minutes, we had a lot of things happening.
Yeah, but it was all happening instantly in his head. Okay, and this is the best line, and this feeds into what I was saying earlier. She says, why greatness? Why is goodness not enough?
Yeah.
That line, in my opinion, sums up kind of like my thesis in that, like, to just be with the peasant girl is goodness. Like, why are people always striving for greatness when you could just do the goodness thing, you know? I really like that line. The more I talk about it, though, honestly, the more I do want to watch it again. I definitely will watch it again at some point.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I thought the giants were so fucking cool.
Yeah, you thought that he was gonna fight the giants, right?
No.
No? I thought you...
They're not portrayed in the trailer as something that he would fight. I expected them to have as little screen time as they did.
That was random, though. That was very random.
Definitely, but it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So, I loved how they did that.
Like that shot. Dude, there's just so many amazing shots in that movie.
The hand?
Yeah, and like, or just when he's standing there like all defiant and the fox is right there in front of him, just like standing there in the wind, man. Oh, so cool. And the cinema, wherever they filmed that, like the starkness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you take like a movie like The Lord of the Rings, it's like this majestic beauty of New Zealand mountains, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's something like even more, the word I'd say would be desolate. Just like desolate beauty of like this, just like
It was
completely like stripped landscape. It's like just like gray skies, like empty mountains, and like
somber.
yeah, like no trees, just like green fields. I thought it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were so many. Like every shot was beautiful.
Yeah. Overall, I thought it was basically lived up to my expectations. You know, it didn't. It wasn't. It's not like a movie that I'm going to buy the moment it comes out on Blu-ray, but it was pretty much exactly what I expected. Maybe a teeny bit I thought it would be a little bit more like kinetic, a little bit more like exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It was very chill. It was very slow. I will say that I think I was going to say this earlier, but I didn't get a chance. It has very, very pointy, tall peaks with really wide, flat valleys in between.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But the peaks are what makes it like worth it.
Yeah, you made me have a lot of expectations because you were very excited to watch it, and I think it lived up to the expectations.
I'm
I
glad.
think also A24 has, like, usually it's very beautiful, but sometimes it's too long. Like, sometimes there are moments that are too slow.
Yeah.
I think that's like a constant thing.
I was definitely glad when he left the castle, and I was like, all right, let's get to the chapel. You know?
Yeah.
So, overall, awesome movie.
I think so many things going on that it was a little messy. It's a little messy talking about it.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, I thought it was good before we started talking about it, and now that we've talked about it, I think it's better than before I talked about it, and it makes me want to watch it again. So, I'm glad for that.
Yeah.
Anything else, or shall we end it?
Yeah, let's end it.
All right. Cielo and I are both excited to see Lamb, right?
Oh, yes. I'm so excited for that movie.
We saw the trailer for Lamb before Green Knight, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks like I want to know what's up with that movie.
Little baby human goats.
What's up with A24 and goats and sheep? They are obsessed with them.
Weird shit. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this weird little episode. And keep dreaming about space and nights that are green and goats.
Yep.
Peace out.
Ciao.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of The Space Dreamers, a Sue Madre production. See you next time.